Good evening, everyone. I would like to share a couple of things. Thank you, Sonia, for speaking your words. In fact, that's the words that God is speaking to my heart to. Psalm 73, verse 25, 26. I've been meditating on it for the past few months as the goal of my life too. So I am so blessed to be here. I'm so blessed to go through everything that we all have been going through for the past few days. One thing that God spoke to me very strongly is to see the simple and pure devotion of each and every one of you. I'm so humbled by that. I felt like God was telling me, don't look at your spirituality and think that you are a spiritual person. Look at your brothers and sisters. See how much they love you. And God commanded me of this verse, Philippians chapter 2, verse 3. Do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, but with humility of mind, regard one another as more important than yourselves. So I felt like, yes, Lord, I want to remain humble, and I want to see these brothers as more important to me than I myself. I was thinking about Jesus saying that many who will be first will be last, and the last will be first. So if you want to be first, then you shall be a servant of everyone. So I was so taken up with that. In fact, I was thinking about Jesus and how he is as a servant. He was the servant to, even though he's a master, he cleaned the feet of his disciples. He had that serving spirit. One verse that really struck me over the past few days is Luke chapter 12, verse 37. It says, Jesus says, truly I say to you that the master will gird himself to serve and have them recline at the table and will come up and wait on them. So I always imagine Jesus, if we go to heaven, he's on the throne and we are always praising and singing praise to him. But this says that the master will guard himself to serve and have them recline at the table and wait on them. I was so taken up with that. Jesus is going to serve me dinner at the heaven? Oh my God. So the spirit of Jesus is always serving. So I should also have the spirit of serving one another. Not to think that I am so high in my own thoughts. So I'm so blessed to be here with all of you, and I want to continue to remain humble. I always remind myself, like, humility is not an action. Like, I cannot act humble. I cannot grit my teeth and say, okay, right, I'm going to be humble right now. I cannot do it. I remain humble by only reacting, looking at Jesus and how glorified and magnified he is. Looking at him, I react saying that, oh my God, I'm just nothing. I cannot compare myself with anyone, but I can compare myself with Jesus and say that I'm just nothing, Lord. That's what Job also said, I'm nothing, Lord. So I want to remain humble in that. And thank you so much, Betty, for everything that you have taught for the past few days. I'm so blessed by that. There are so many things that God spoke to me very strongly, and there are a few things that I would like to share from what you have shared with us. So the first thing is abiding in Jesus. So I realized that abiding in Jesus is helplessly depending on him. The branch helplessly depends on the stem. It cannot do anything without the stem. So for me also, if I want to do something in my life, even now as I'm sharing my testimony, I prayed a lot. Lord, I don't want to speak one word, one empty word that will dishonor you, that is not from you. I want to speak every word that comes from you. So abiding in Jesus for me is to helplessly depend on him and to say that, Lord, I'm nothing. I just need whatever you want me to do in my life too. I'm a software engineer. I write code. If I'm writing code, Jesus is the master of writing code. He invented code. If he is a HR, he is the head of the HR. There is nothing that Jesus cannot do. If you go and ask Jesus to do something for you, he will make it happen for you. And you bear fruit depending on Jesus. And I was asking the Lord, why should I bear fruit? What is the purpose of me bearing fruit? The answer is then Jesus saying that in John 15:8, he said, by this my Father is glorified, that you bear fruit and you prove to be my disciples. So the reason why I bear fruit is to glorify the Father. Jesus did everything to glorify the Father. I came from heaven not to do my will, but to do the will of my Father. And by this my Father is glorified. If you go 2 chapters before that, Jesus, before going to Jerusalem, he says, the Son of Man is going to be glorified. He did not say that I am going to be crucified and be dead and resurrected. He said the Son of Man is going to be, my Father is going to be glorified. So, me bearing fruit is not to glorify myself. If I do something for my life, looking at my own fruit, right now I'm sharing a testimony. I can go back and say that, oh, I have done something. No, it's not me. it's the Lord who bore
todo
fruit
lo que
in
haga,
my
todo lo
life.
que pueda lograr, no
So
es porque
I don't want to
yo
look
pueda hacerlo,
back and say,
porque yo me
I have
doy el
achieved this
crédito,
much.
sino que es
That's what
Dios en
David
mi
has
vida.
done.
Es Dios el que
He
lo está
numbered
haciendo.
all his people, and that made God angry, and God punished David. So, and also prodigal son story also, God reminded me that the eldest son came to the father and said, Father, I have been with you all these years. I have done so much for you, but you have not killed one lamb for me. So I can also have that same kind of entitlement attitude, saying that, Lord, I have been faithful to you these many years. See the fruit that I have borne. And then I realized that that's the moment I'm cutting off myself from the branch. So I'm not with Jesus at those times. So I felt like whatever that I do in my life, I need to bear fruit in such a way that it glorifies the Lord. It doesn't glorify me or anything that I do. So thank you so much for everything. And I pray that we all depend on the Lord as He wanted us to be, and we just glorify Him
depender de
the way
Dios
He wanted us to
y
be.
que todo lo
Thank you.
que podamos hacer sea